piece of flux. Alright. I like that. Now it is, I did just lightly skimmed into the cast. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to, I don't know if I should or not. I think I'm going to take that angle right there when we set up and we come in and we kiss this inside cut right here. Then I'll probably at that same angle come in and take this thickness down to here. This thickness right in there is about a ½ inch thick. And the rest of it out here is like almost 5/8 of an inch. Alright, we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull this. I'm going to pull this little shell mill out of here. Okay. And we're going to put this flat cutter in here. Alright, now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna loosen this. And we're gonna slide our bit. Let me check out that bit. It's still fairly sharp. We know that this is 3-inch diameter, and we can go ahead and we can bring this in here, and we're going to put it in neutral here so we can swing this around. And know that we need to go down a little bit here because this should be a 1/4 inch in there, and same thing from side to side. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to put this bit in here. First we're going to go grind a little bit more relief on the back side of this bit because we're going to plunge straight through with this bit so that we can skim this surface over here. Not necessarily sweep this whole cast surface. We just want to cut this brass arc right there. We want to keep that with the same circle of the inside there. So we're going to go give this a little bit more clearance on the back side of this bit. I don't really think it took much. We just kind of rolled that over there. As soon as I eyeball it, yeah, we got plenty of clearance. Okay, now I'm just going to hold this just a little teeny tiny off of here. In fact, actually, I'm going to bring this back here because we know it's 1/4 inch difference between what we figured and where that's at there. Okay, that's tight. Alright, now let's verify our rotation. Okay, that's good. We're snug, table's tight, knees tight. Okay, and we're just cranking it in by hand, and then we're going to control up and down, side to side, whatever we need to go ahead and blend what we think this radius over here should be. This could be done with a boring bar or something else and you can sneak up onto it. I just knew that I had this big fly cutter and pretty much we just needed to reach in and kind of sweep a matching radius in here somehow. Okay, now we're sweeping it around here. We're about 1/8 of an inch clearance throughout there, maybe a 1/16 of an inch there. I'm going to back it up a little bit. You want to just look at this sweep right here. That's pretty close. Alright, I redressed my tool because it was a little dull on the end there, and I just touched off and I'm sweeping, so I'm kind of like touching a couple little areas here on the cast So we're going to go ahead and we're going to call that a good starting spot. And I think this is probably going to be just a one cut thing here. Actually a two cut thing. We've already made one cut. Just lightly skimming the cast surface there, so I am swinging that diameter and it looks pretty true. Okay, we like that. Just enough. And just lightly scrape right in there and there. This is just kind of a little reference point here, and I'm eyeballing this in here real quick here. Make sure I get the right mean level right there. That kind of lined up right there. That looks pretty good. Okay. Alright, we're going to come in here with an end mill. We're just going to kind of like dress this up across the top and make sure that, I just want to make sure I had enough material down around here. Alright, and to kind of radius this on in here. So we're going to grab probably a 3/4 inch end mill and kind of come in here and just kind of feather that outside edge in. Put in a turbo end mill in here, or a roughing end mill, whatever way you want to call it. Not because this is tough stuff or anything. It lets you have really nice hand control and feed and less tool bit pressure with an end mill with the stagger contact than you do with a straight flute or a smooth flute end mill. Alright, so and you know, we can, this is just cast and brass, so we can spin it about the same speed we were. Now for some reason, you know, I think this is sculpted out a little bit. This has a radius in here and a here, and I think there was a radius web in here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, we're going to kind of fake and blend that in, come out here, and then come around like that. Alright, I'm pretty happy. Alright, we'll be able to hand sand a little bit. One little area right in there. If we wanted to, we could go throw some on there, but I'm not going to sweat the small stuff there. Where's our piece here? And back us out a little bit. Okay, so kind of like that. Boom, boom. And I think what we'll do is, we were talking about maybe a stop or something, but there should be something across here. So when it comes down to down here, it locks or locates like that. Boom, boom. We're proposing to come in here now. We're going to pull this out of here, and we're going to bring over the 90-degree head, and we're going to set it up so that we can mill this material right here, so that this 1-inch guide will slide in here like it's supposed to, just like this side over here does. Alright, now if you look at this, we don't really have anything over here to set it on, and if we just like lay it down there, this wants to lean down, so we want to hold this kind of like level. What we're going to do is, we're going to go ahead and we're going to chase these threads out, because we haven't cleaned those since we did all the heating and all of that. We're going to clear the hole out, and we're going to put some long set screws through here so that they'll set down below that surface, so we'll be able to reach in there with an end mill, and these will not protrude up into the opening that we're going to be machining on, but yet they'll support the level and height. And we're going to toe clamp this down with the table in line with the surfaces that we need to machine to, and then we're going to come in with an end mill and cut that. Sometimes you can reach around and you can have a finger, and this is a pretty stout indicator, and this is a pretty good pressure on here to create that motion or movement. Okay, and then I have a stirrup button head with a similar motion here, and this one takes a little less pressure to operate, and it gives you a little more finesse on your indicating. But even these two here sometimes are too tight or take too much pressure to create a good readable reading, and you need smaller indicators like this one. Alright, now this is an Intrepid, and I have a couple other indicators that are you know, they're just called different things, and they pretty much got the same kind of style. You have a tail stem here that's you know, about 3/16 of an inch, so it'll fit. But it also has dovetail mounts front and back, also for like the holder that I have there for the 1/4 inch. So you can grab one of your standard push button mag bases or whatever, and you can fit it in there. Now, first I laid a piece of key stock and I eyeballed this to the slot. I tapped this bar here that is slightly toe clamped down to the table so that I could push it and move it and then get it in a line. And I also took my level and let me come out here just a little bit. Took the level, set it up right into the groove so I knew I was level that way, and I kind of verified it this way and this way on this one here as well. But we're really going for those diameters right there, or that side and that bottom or that root, so that we can set up the end mill and come in and match that other side, and then machine it out to the width until we get this just to slide in there. Alright, now I'm real happy with this alignment, and so we're going to go ahead and we're going to crank down all of our hold downs here, and in a second I'm going to show you what I ended up, but we're going to go ahead. That was just table slop that I've moved it, but right there, I mean, you know, we're right on the money. Alright, so I just wanted to point out how I was able to go ahead and get in there on this, and we only have that far to actually dial. So you need to have an indicator that is touchier. Sometimes you just don't, you can't have a touchy indicator because it doesn't have enough travel usually to take run out on big items. But definitely when you're only going with a short distance there, you want to make sure that you're reading, you know, pretty accurate, and having a more accurate or more touchy indicator is the only way that you're going to do that. So they do come into play. I probably get this one out once every 3-4 months. Now, as soon as we started gathering up some of the stuff here and we put these in and we were setting those down, I go, well, that's not going to do it, you know, and who wants to waste cut points on a brand new pair of set screws and stuff like that? I mean, they would work for the job, but I go, let's take some 3/8 bolts, and we just sanded the 6 raised area or marks on the top side there that indicate grade 8s, and kept them smooth so that they've become feet for like screw jacks. And that's as simple as it is. So this holding down, this keeps the butt end square, and then between these two here I was able to jack it so that we were level and we got the bottom in line. And then we came over and we indicated the side, and we got that. Alright, now we're ready to go ahead and set up our indicator or our end mill. I have to laugh, okay, because I'm getting ready. I got the end mill in here and I'm over here on this side, and I want to kind of come down and touch that, and I was going to use the paper method there. And so I had a roll of Christmas paper. I said, well, I don't want to, you know, hey, I wrapped out all my presents with one kind of paper this year. I don't want to double up and have the same paper next year, right? Okay, so anyway, I just for curiosity, I wanted to know how thick wrapping paper is. 1.5 thousandths. Okay, 1.5 thousandths. No wonder it rips so easy. I mean, you know, you get your package almost all the way wrapped and then it rips on you. You know, you should at least have something that can double as toilet paper or something. I don't know. But, you know, 1.5 thousandths is the thickness of wrapping paper nowadays, I guess. And I just kind of wanted to do that. And so we're gonna cut ourselves a little gauge here, just so we can slip it underneath here. I think I made it a little too wide. Oh, we got a point on this side here. Alright, and all I'm going to do is crank it up slowly until it just starts to be firm on the paper, because I wanted to know where 0 was. And okay, just grabbing it right there. We can set our dial now at 0, and we know that we're 1.5 off of that. Okay, I'm going to go see if I can get my adjustable parallels to slip in there and get against each of these walls right here so that I can give a good accurate measurement of it. Okay, about 865. We got about exactly 100 thousandths to take off of there, and that feels real good at the bottom down here. You know, there's the metal there, and it chipped away the flux that was on the top, but it didn't take any metal there. So far we have a good clean surface in there, and we're going to go ahead and draw out, and we're going for a 50 thousandths cut here. Here we go. We're only feeding it about 1/2 inch per revolution, and we're running about 530 on the RPM. Nothing to brag about. We're just going sure and steady. Okay, we're going for our final cut there. We were at 9. Now we put the gauge in there. We're at 949 or so. We're going to go ahead and go for another full 50, hoping to hit it on the money. And it looks like our cutter now is starting to touch the bottom there, and it actually is kissing the cast iron there. So we're so close to being right there, looking really good. All right, here we go. Brought it back past there just to take the roughage. The brass comes around and it was pressing back up and, you know, sticking right back onto the surface again and creating a gall type surface. And I want to go ahead and I want to try sliding in the foot here. Oh. Perfect. I can't feel rock, but man, does it feel good in there. Trying to get the right light here. I think that's probably pretty good right there. But it just barely skimmed the cast right there. That's original material down in there. A little bit of braze right there. Alright, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a skim cut right across here with the 2-inch shell mill. So we get a nice flat there. We may want to run a double nut on the back side of a thread there. We figured a ½ inch, we got like 35 thousandths to go, and really I just want to take and get it to where it's square there. That'd be fine with me. And this right here, that'll be just radius and roll down in. That'll be fine. Okay, this is my, I think, I'm going to call this my first three-dimensional part. Oh, we had one drop in the water, huh? Okay. You got the magnet. Okay. Here's part one. Part two. Part three. Part four. Part four should. Yeah, we shorted that. We shouldn't have shorted that one. That one should be longer. Well, we got one more part to cut out. All right, we're pretty well. We've shaped that out, and we laid this on here, and we drew that that part of the ear that's on there. But the two sections in our kit here are actually going to be in line with this. So we need to go ahead and set this up. We're just going to crown this right over the top of here, kind of give it a little extra material. We're eyeballing here that this is parallel. We're kind of holding that there. And I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to give a line right here. And we're going to take it in a bandsaw and we're going to trim that off. Okay, so that ear will be that shape right there. This will be, we're going to cut this part off. Okay, after this is cut off here, you see this part here, this is going to be over on the top of here. So when this opens up, this will swivel around, and I think that stops right there, and I think that's how this steady rest stops when it goes back around. I might be wrong, but you know, I'm just kind of putting two and two together of what I can remember. I don't actually have one of these around.